The most recent report from the UN Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change described climate change as a code red for humanity. In other words, decarbonization isn't happening fast enough. As the urgency for climate action intensifies, the number of net zero targets being set continues to skyrocket.
Organizations today, public or private, need to think about climate change for multiple different reasons. Some of the risks associated with climate change can include business interruption, loss of real property or real assets, or basically volatility in your cash flows resulting out of the volatility in commodity prices. This focus on climate change is going to result in some very interesting investment opportunities over the next several decades.
People's use of fossil fuels is warming the planet. This warming is throwing the climate system into chaos. In order to avoid or to stave off the worst impacts of climate change, we're going to need to reduce and eventually eliminate the use of fossil fuels. Here in Montgomery County, our goal is to reach zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2035.
Now, rising global temperatures are fueling devastating extreme weather events around the world, escalating impacts on economies and societies, and adding to the need for public and private organizations to decarbonize operations and become more resilient to outages.
The public is becoming increasingly alarmed about the severity of climate change, and they are demanding that elected officials and businesses take action. Voluntary measures and voluntary incentives are important and they have a role, but alone they're not enough to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. There's also a need for regulatory policy to be put in place. A great example of this is the public-private partnership which enabled the development of the Brookville Smart Energy Bus Depot project. Through this project, Montgomery County benefits by having no upfront costs, as well as a long-term performance guarantee of the microgrid and the electric vehicle charging stations that are going to charge up to 70 electric buses.
As the largest source of greenhouse gas emissions in the United States, the transportation industry is under considerable regulatory and societal pressure to decarbonize with only minimal financial support from the government available.
The transportation sector is under intense pressure to decarbonize, and that is because it represents about 8 gigatons of CO2 equivalent emissions on a global basis. In the US, we have about 23 million medium and heavy duty vehicles. Of those, about 78,000 are transit vehicles.
Look, decarbonization is a very broad and general term. It can mean different things depending on the industry as well as the underlying asset. We think that opportunities in decarbonization include investing in new initiatives such as renewables, electric vehicles, as well as microgrids, but also taking existing carbon-intensive assets and finding ways to decarbonize them. And so this is very much doable today, but yes, it does require a significant amount of time, capital, as well as expertise that's invested over time.
Creating a future for electric vehicles is no longer about building cars and trucks. The story has shifted to focus on new demands for the U.S. grid and the need to deliver clean and resilient power that is economical to use any time of day.
A microgrid is a decentralized energy system. In this particular use case, we also integrate the charging infrastructure, and all of it becomes an integrated system. The Energy as a Service business model is an innovation where we have zero CapEx upfront for the client. We have a 20 to 30 year power purchase agreement through which we deliver the service with a variety of performance measures and objectives. This allows fleet owners to accelerate and scale their transitions.
Now, a first-of-its-kind Energy as a Service fleet electrification microgrid project in Montgomery County, Maryland, is integrating solar photovoltaic canopies, on-site generation, battery energy storage, and electric bus chargers in an effort to advance climate action.
County's climate action plan is a plan to reduce greenhouse gases by 80% by 2027 and 100% by 2035. It is really ambitious. These are large projects, and finding that much cash one-off in a year that doesn't take from other demands on cash in a budget is really difficult. Energy as a Service kind of offered us a way to finance the project without having to get deep into bonds or get into pulling large amounts of cash out of our budgets. So it's been really beneficial.
With an Energy as a Service business model and leading microgrid design, Alphastruxure uses best-in-class distributed energy technology from its partners to ensure the fleet's continuous operation regardless of utility outages.
Alphastruxure is a purpose-built company, and we design, build, own, and operate behind-the-meter energy assets. We're very excited because we have partnered with Montgomery County in one of the nation's first microgrid-enabled bus depots. This project allows the county to meet their very aggressive greenhouse gas reduction goals, as well as enabling them in order to provide the infrastructure that ensures the service availability to their ridership.
These 70 electric buses are combined drive over 10,000 miles per day. And now transitioning them to be all electric and charged by renewable energy, it's helping us avoid over 160,000 tons of greenhouse gases over the duration of the project.
A zero waste, zero emissions, and zero carbon future is within our grasp. The technology to decarbonize at any scale already exists. And now, the energy as a service business model is enabling organizations to achieve their goals.
I think that people get caught up in it's going to cost too much. Meanwhile, we'll spend the cost difference on the operating side and not think 2 seconds about it. The savings on fuel and the savings on maintenance are really significant year over year. I think other people will take the leap.